Welcome to another episode of the Two Act podcast. I'm your co host, Adi, and as always, I'm joined here with gothjon. We review anime, cinema, and TV. And for this week's episode, I've chosen an American science fiction film called Ready Player One, released in 2018, directed by Steven Spielberg, from a screenplay by Ernest Cline, who also wrote the novel it's based on. It stars Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cook, Ben Mendelsohn, TJ Miller, Simon Pegg, and Mark Rylance, to name a few of the stars. The film is set in 2045, where much of humanity uses the Oasis, a virtual reality simulation, to escape the real world. Teenage orphan Wade Watts, played by the film's star main character actor Ty Sheridan, finds clues to a contest that promises ownership of the Oasis to the winner, and he and his allies try to complete it before an evil corporation, the IOI, can do so. So that's like the synopsis of the movie. I'll explain why I picked the film and what I think about it, but I'll go into opening thoughts before I do that. John, what did you think of Ready Player One?
I like this film, but my opening thoughts are they casted the main character because the way his lips are shaped when he has that visor on, he's got a nice set of DSLs.
Nice set of I'm sorry, what is a DSL? You're gonna have to educate me here.
Dick sucking lips.
What the fuck? Jeez. That's where your attention went to, huh? First thing.
Yeah. I heard that in a review, and I was just like, okay, I gotta put that.
You heard that in a review?
Yeah. Some crazy person. I don't even remember.
Shit.
I watched a lot of
lips.
Yeah, whenever I watch like a newer movie, this is
were they reviewing were they reviewing lips, or were they reviewing the movie?
Probably the movie. I think it was more of along the line, not the same like word for word. That's my corrupted mind being involved. Yeah, it's kind of like how I think that might have been for the X-Men movie, because I think it's the same kid. They casted him where he wears the Cyclops visor, the way his lips look with the visor on.
Yeah. Ty Sheridan. It's interesting because I remember when he kind of like came onto the scene of Hollywood, and I saw him like he was getting picked in a few big movies. I think he was in, like you mentioned, he was playing the younger Cyclops, and I think he's in Deadpool 2.
Okay.
I think he's in the X-Men movies, the reboot that didn't do so well.
They were doing okay until that Dark Phoenix movie came out, and then everything fell apart.
Yeah, I mean that basically ended the whole Fox reboot anyways. But yeah, he hasn't done anything significant. He's been in a few indie films. But yeah, interesting first thoughts. Didn't see that coming from a million miles from you, but that's just classic you, I guess. My opening thoughts. Okay, I remember watching this movie in the cinema. I remember the experience I had. I think the movie for me holds a very nostalgic place in the sort of films that I like to watch because of obvious reasons, pop culture, games, and all the incredible references. I think it kind of really is a love letter to video games and pop culture and movies and anyone who enjoys consuming them. I think the movie's underrated, which is kind of ironic to say because it's literally made by Steven Spielberg, who's arguably, I wouldn't say he's underrated by any means. He's arguably one of the greatest Hollywood directors ever, considering his filmography of classics and, movies that have left a mark for decades. But I think this specific movie, I don't think first of all, it's based on a novel, which I wasn't very well versed with. I've never read the book. I think it blew my mind.
I'm not going to read a book, even if it might be better.
Fair enough. You're not a reader. But I was just amazed by the amount of like references and how they managed to like get all these incredible rights to have all these incredible references from, movies, different video games, even anime, all the avatars, and it's set in this future where people sort of don't really like spending time in reality because reality sucks and it's very dystopian. And I guess it like does a bit it kind of goes in a very like stereotypical way of trying to show a bleak future. But what it does is it does show like, oh yeah, people, they're all invested in their alter egos and this other world, which is the Oasis, which is basically virtual reality. That's a place they escape to, like, you know, build another life, basically have credit, build up currency, have their own avatars. They can be whoever they want, get like cool shit, do quests and missions and all these other things that you normally would do in a video game. But it's also like kind of like realistic to a point where like you're actually, interacting with people, with other gamers from around the world who you normally never meet physically. And yeah, it's an interesting concept because I think, back in 2018, virtual reality was still not that crazy big. I mean, definitely not for like gaming. So, I was really curious to see like what the movie would do. And I remember watching it in the cinema, and yeah, it was quite a spectacle. But I feel like not a lot of people talk about this film. And, I don't think the movie's a failure by any means. I mean, it grossed over $600 million in the box office, despite like a nearly 175 million budget. So, I think it's well regarded, but I just feel like it's not like as, well looked at or spoken about or referenced compared to other movies that, I mean, we live in a time now where there's so much crossovers happening. There's so many like superhero movies. There's so much callbacks and stuff like that. And you can tell how obvious and how, you know, ammed in it feels. But I feel like this movie really, it's one of those rare ones that actually gets the rights to have all these references, which is incredible in its own regard. But it manages to do it in a way where it's not just entirely a cameo fest,
Right.
or just,
Fan service like the Space Jam sequel or Free Guy. Like movies like I want to like them. This is how you do it right.
I thought that was generic as fuck compared
Yeah.
to something
Exactly.
like,
And like the script isn't like amazing or anything. They're searching for the MacGuffins.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like, so like there's an Easter egg that they're hunting for, and it's kind of set out like One Piece. Like they're all hunting for the MacGuffin, but it's a video game, so you have to collect the 3 keys. So it's more like a traditional video game. And I like a lot of that because it does remind me, like growing up in the 90s, there were still arcade cabinets. So yes, I was playing them. I was playing all those
Oh,
things,
yeah. I mean,
Pac-Man and
the
Asteroids.
beauty of this is like, every generation will be able to love or find something they love about this movie, which is great. I think like you said, if you grew up playing in arcades, if you had an Atari, you'll love it. You'll love all the anime references, the Ultraman, all
Gundam, the Akira bike.
the Iron Giant.
Yep.
The Iron Giant, the Kira references. I love the fact that they could show Kaneda's bike in it, and Batman and King Kong and all these other, The Shining, which
Jason
yes,
Voorhees.
it's incredible. It's incredible because like I'm pretty sure, like, even though I watched this movie a bunch of times, I'm pretty sure I'm still missing references because it's like blink and you miss it.
I looked
spot.
at the total amount of them, and I was gonna do like a whole like rapid fire list, but then I saw how many there were, and I was like, okay,
There's no way.
I might be like half the podcast episode, so no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you could pause every frame in the
Yeah,
Oasis,
and
and you'll
it's one of
find
those blink and you'll miss it.
absolutely. And I want to make a point here about the genre of this movie because although it is a science fiction action movie, I think I'd like to regard this primarily as an adventure movie. And I feel like adventure movies just kind of died out. You know, you just don't see them anymore as like what they used to be. You know, I'm talking about like movies like that were like meant to take you on a ride, a quest, and you have these characters who are on a journey. And I just feel like now they're all been changed. You don't see it, you know, specifically as a genre in its own. Like you'll find, you know, you'll find either like other types of genres, but elements of adventure in them. So you know, it calls back to the time where like adventure movies like Indiana Jones or whatever, all the classics were like so beloved and so did so well. It resonated so well with the masses. That I feel like you know it's almost nostalgic to look at it now with a nostalgic lens more than anything. And you look at the stuff people make now, which is a lot more grittier, more realistic, more like
More
you
bite
know,
sized, more TikTok-y.
more well, yeah,
Because
whatever you want
so
to.
they have to design these movies so that they can be put on a streaming platform and that you
Yeah.
won't completely lose attention because you're staring at your phone half the time. And I know this because I'm also guilty of staring at my phone watching movies.
Yeah, at least you're honest about it. So, you
Exactly.
know,
Unless it's for the
most people don't
pod.
even
And
realize.
if it's a first time viewing, no phone.
I mean, it's just crazy that that's something you'd have to like
Mhm.
self-inflict on because, you know,
Well, I'm watching it on a computer. It's I literally have the internet at my fingertips at any second of any time, so I will and can distract myself very easily.
yeah, yeah, and that just goes to show like how it's changed the landscape of like how we consume movies and, you know, shows like with streaming it's like you could basically watch it on your phone if you wanted to and
Yep.
you know it's like that simple or that accessible. But you know I like this movie, but before we go we'll go deep into the plot and everything. I just wanted to mention like there's something unique about the movie because it sort of uses like a lot of visual effects that were
Mhm.
done by ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which is one of the studios George Lucas founded, I believe, and does a lot of like the effects for Star Wars and all these
Mhm.
big
Didn't like the
American Hollywood
CGI
movies.
faces at first.
Yeah, it does. It does. I must say, like, it doesn't. You know, it's like at first it's very jarring.
Yeah, because you get a lot of that like Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
Like it looks uncanny valley. And
Yes.
it takes a little bit for your eyes to adjust and to,
A little
try
bit,
to
but you know
fall
what?
into the story. Yeah.
It does, but you know what? Once you get into it, it's almost like putting on a VR, you know, headset off your own because like when you put it on, you're like, oh shit, like, you know, this isn't fucking real. But once you like engage with it a bit and then you start to like immerse yourself in that experience, and it's the same as playing a video game. I mean, once you got a headset and you're like got the sounds on and you're focused and you're doing it, you kind of lose track of like your reality. You know, you're really into the game, and I think it's the same experience here. Although I must say, like, I wasn't a big fan of like most of the scenes set in the real world. I thought they were like mishmash, but
Right.
you know, I really liked the concept of this movie and the fact that it's obviously based on a novel. I want to point out it's kind of incredible how they had the rights to so many like IPs, and
Mhm.
it was actually a combination of things that I want to list. First was it was Warner Brothers's immense catalog. You know, they had like they already owned so many of the references, prominent references that were featured in this film, like Batman or whatever. So it was very easy. Yeah, Back to the Future, Mad Max, Lord of the Rings. So it was fairly like easy for them to like use those references in this movie. And then you had obviously Steven Spielberg, who's, a legendary director and has so much influence in the industry, that he was willing to he was able to leverage and collaborate with so many other creatives and you know use his status and connection to attain the rights to some incredible pieces of IP. Like, for example, The Shining is featured in this movie. There's a sequence, the second act that features The Shining, which I really like, and it was because of his close relationship with Stanley Kubrick that he was able to secure the rights for that. And then obviously there was a lot of other legal and producing effort when it came to negotiating and getting a bunch of things that they wanted. So yeah, it was I want to mention that it wasn't just oh yeah, let's just copy paste all references we can and make it into a cameo fest. They actually had to secure the rights, make some real effort to get all these references into the movie because, unlike most movies that'll have references, most of them can do it for fan service, as you pointed out. This one actually, it actually matters to the plot for it to have these references because, the creator of the Oasis, James Halliday, played by Mark Rylance, is a geek himself. He's a massive nerd and fan of pop culture. And the Oasis is literally built and littered with all these references for everyone to engage with. So, I thought that was really cool that they could do it. And it's cool that they could get someone like Steven Spielberg to direct it. But, I guess we can go into the story. What did you think of the whole first act and the way it kicks off?
Like I said, the three MacGuffins, it's a video game. It's kind of what you expect. I don't know if I'm necessarily here for the story. There is some running lines that I like the about holidays past. I liked a lot of that. It's not, like I said, it's really more of a spectacle. You're not necessarily watching this for a riveting tale. You're watching it because you played a billion video games and you're I kind of want to just live in a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's escapism and it's the adventure as well, right? Because that's the whole part of playing video games, doing quests, completing challenges. And in this case, I think the founder, James Halliday, is dead, but he left behind 3 Easter eggs.
Bum, bum,
or is he? That's the big question. But he's assumed dead. But he left behind these 3 Easter eggs, which were basically 3 keys that grant you. What do they grant you?
So they grant you access to this Easter egg, and the Easter egg basically gives you control of the Oasis. It gives you a bajillion dollars and rights to do whatever you want with the Oasis. You could turn it off if you want to.
Yeah, it's basically carte blanche. He gives you the keys to the kingdom if you complete his quest. The three keys that you need to attend.
And it's a quest that nobody has gotten past the first clue in over 20 years after he died.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that because it's so besides Wade's introduction, he's known as Parzival in the Oasis. That's his alter ego or gamer avatar name.
His gamer tag.
Gamer tag. Everyone has one. But I bet yours is still gothjon.
It will until the day I die. I haven't been goth in 20 years. It's going to stay gothjon.
That's cool. That's cool. You're committed to it. Some people have different gamer tags for almost every different game.
I don't want to have to remember any other ones. As part of that, I'm lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That is tricky too. You kind of lose track.
Yeah. If I play a female character, it's named gothjon. I don't give a shit.
But Parzival, yeah, played by Ty Sheridan or Wade Watts. I swear that sounded like he's Deadpool. Isn't that
Wade
Wilson?
It's another WW name. That's alliteration.
Yeah. That's why I was like, wait.
Well, in the story, they say that his parents named him that so he'd sound like a comic book character.
Like Bruce Wayne or something like that. But it doesn't quite resonate. But yeah, he's this guy who's I think in the real world, He lives mostly by himself. He's got like an aunt who's like,
it's like in a trailer. He's
yeah,
living in a
he's,
slum.
yeah. But somehow, even in the slums, people have this VR
Yep.
technology that allows them to like go
Haptic
into the,
feedback and special gloves. They go into the oasis and try to live their lives in the virtual world that they can't live in the real world because they're broke.
yeah. Which, I think that's the movie does do some interesting things about that by establishing that, because again, with like how much everything's getting digital and how everyone's more online than they are in real life, present in real life, I can totally see what they had in mind. And, it's quite possible future wise that something like this could potentially happen in some regard, where people escape, how miserable their reality is and jump online or escape
Yeah,
into another
the
world.
the worst version of it is you have your food like injected into you and you never come out of it. And once
Yeah.
you meet like a certain threshold of time in there, your muscles will atrophy, and if you get out of the virtual world, you'll die.
Yeah. It's actually, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty grim.
It definitely is, and that's something we always like. The movie says at the end of the movie, you have to live in the real world at least some of the time.
Yeah. And I think that itself is like, it's crazy that the movie has to even do that, because just to show you like, hey guys, like, you still have you still have reality that matters more than spending time in a video game most days of the week. And you know that just shows like, again, this is the world it's set in 2045, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, Parzival, or Wade, whoever you'd like to call him, as he's a big fan of pop culture. He's really passionate. He's obviously spent a lot of time he's more invested in that life than he is in his real life, although I don't know how he manages to survive with his condition, being in poverty. But yeah, he's trying to crack the clue to this first quest, which would give him a key to the next clue. And it's really cool because, like, once you get into the world, you see all these references and all these avatars and all these the cool world of the Oasis, where you can literally spend time in any part, in any world. I think there's like,
Whether it's a death match or a death race
yeah, yeah, and you can earn currency, you can earn
that you can
cool,
spend in the real world.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of level ups and stuff.
Even why like non-traditional non-gamers are even in there. Like
Yeah,
his like stepdad or whatever that
it's
guy is.
abusive. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
abusive.
Even he's putting on the suit and fighting in the death match.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like there's also the big evil corporation IOI, which is obsessed with cracking the clue. They've hired a bunch of like nerds who are like, you know, experts on pop culture. I think they're called zoologists,
They're a
and they're
bunch of
basically
wage slaves, is what they are, and they're all working
yeah,
for a megacorp.
yeah, which is super cringe and cheesy the
And
way
it
they,
even gets even more cringy when one of the characters is put in like a slavery debt mine facility. Yeah, and it
yeah,
gets full dystopian, and you're just like, okay,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you got to pull back a little bit.
Especially the villain, the what's his name? Sorrento.
Mayor McEvil McCheese.
I think his name is Sorrento.
Okay, we'll go
Uh,
with that.
yeah, played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Mhm.
He plays the bad guy who's like Nolan Sorrento. He's like the
Yep.
CEO of like IOI, and he's like a businessman who's trying to like gain full control over the Oasis. He doesn't give a shit about the game. I think he just wants to like promote. He just
Well,
wants
he
ownership
wants
and make
to
money.
put 90% ads in all the visors,
Yeah,
which
which is
is
so
like the most sad.
predictable. Yeah, but it's
Their
also the
only
most like,
escape, and it's all ads.
but it's so it's so accurate though. Like
Yeah,
you just
it
know that's
definitely
gonna
is.
happen with anything, right? Like anything free is gonna have ads at some point.
Well, you have to pay
Um,
somehow.
yeah, yeah, and even though the whole purpose of what they're trying to do is really like stereotypically corny and cringe and predictable, but
Right.
at least it's like believable to some extent. Like
Right.
that will be what they're trying to do. But anyways, he plays a really like one note villain, I must say.
Yeah.
Not most exciting part of the movie.
Nope. And his henchman sidekick, the guy who's voiced by that one
TJ
popular
Miller?
guy, yeah, who
Yeah.
lost his
Eye
career.
roll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, I know who that is. That guy's from Deadpool, and I hate him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
could
He
have
used to
cast
be in
that.
a bunch of movies,
Could have cast
but
him way better.
yeah, he plays like this henchman mercenary employed
He's gross.
by IOI to like capture Wade. And yeah, there's a bunch of other characters as well. I think this W- Wade's got like his friends, H,
You got
Shy,
H, yep, who you find out is actually
Show,
a girl.
yeah, Daito,
Yep,
and obviously Artemis, who's this mysterious
spelt with a 3.
spelt with a three, yeah, who's a mysterious streamer gamer in this world who's
Mhm.
also trying to crack the clues, played by Olivia Cook. So yeah, it starts off in the first clue, which is like this crazy race, isn't it? They're like
Yeah,
racing, trying to get over the finish line. You got a bunch of like the Sixers or like the
well, IOA.
the IOI's cronies or whatever, a
Mhm.
bunch of robots, NPCs.
Yeah, they don't have
And
names; they have numbers.
yeah. And yeah, what do you think of that whole race? And then you see like
I liked it a lot.
Kaneda's
You got King Kong as the ultimate boss. He's
yeah,
breaking cars. So in the Oasis, if you die, you lose all your items, and they call it
yeah,
like zeroing out, and that can be a big deal because like some of the characters, they have a decade worth of items on their character and money, and it's like their whole lives. They're
yeah.
actually broke because that's where all their money is.
And
They're
it's believable. It's totally believable that, people would give a shit about that and not like risk dying in the
in
Oasis and
IOI,
losing all
they're
their
a dime a dozen. They're, a megacorp. They have, billions of dollars to throw at this.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just obsessed with finding all the three clues and getting the keys to the kingdom of the
And
Oasis so that they can do whatever the fuck they want.
the way that they solve the clue is probably like the most obvious.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
The
Because like the
I
first race is where you see Artemis. So you
Yeah.
see like what's his name, Parzival or
Yep.
Wade, and then he's like gearing up. He's got a DeLorean, a
Mhm.
cool reference from Back
Yep.
to the
I
Future.
wish I
That's what
had
he
that car
drives.
too. It's like my favorite car.
Yeah, and then just when you think it doesn't get any cooler, you see like Kaneda's bike, the red iconic bike from
Yeah.
Akira,
Yeah.
pop up, and it's Artemis on the bike. This mysterious gamer who
Could
he
be a
instantly
500-pound man for all you know.
yeah, who's instantly enamored with and is a follower of because he's aware of her, and they're squaring up and they're racing with a bunch of other people, and I thought it was a cool sequence. I mean, for a
Agree.
first act, it was pretty cool. I think he's done this race so many times that he just knows you can't get past the
Kong.
final boss,
Yep.
and we've all been there at some stage if you played a
Absolutely.
video
That's
game.
when I go to bed and then I do it again the next day.
And clearly he's
Dark
done it.
Souls logic. That's how you do it.
And clearly he's done it a million times because he
Yeah.
just can't get past King Kong at the end, just where, you're at the finish line of the race where you meant to get the clue.
What he had to do is put it into R for racing.
Oh, R for
So,
reverse.
Adi, I know you learned on a stick, so you know that R is not racing mode.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's for reverse. And
It
you
is,
go
yeah.
right through the wall. And then he finds out that's actually what you were supposed to do the whole time.
Yeah. He finally he cracks it Do you remember how he cracks it? How he finds the clue that he needs?
I think he like
Something
watches video in the
Yeah,
library.
he frequently goes to the archives where he watches every moment of James Halliday's life.
Yeah, his memories.
Memories, because he's obsessed with Halliday. He's obsessed with trying to find out how to win this quest. And when he goes to the archives, there's this character, the curator, who's kind of like a butler, Alfred type robot butler curator, who's got like access to all these memories of James Halliday, and he can show you every moment from his life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where he cracks like the first clue about going backwards, deconstruction. And he actually wins the race, and it's like the first time in 20 years someone's actually won the race.
And IOI is livid.
They'll live it, yeah, they'll live it. They're absolutely fuming that they couldn't. I mean, they're just trying to like figure out how they can get their hands.
Well, they're brute forcing it, and you can't brute force his puzzles because they're gamer coded.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. You can hire a bunch of experts and everything, but ultimately, is designed in such a way that you really can't like cheat your way into winning this quest.
Nope.
Like, you actually need to have the passion, the knowledge, and like, the gaming spirit to compete.
Right.
Do it. You just can't like buy your way to this, which I think is cool. Goes in gamer fashion. I mean, and then you see, he finds the clue, and I think the clue is like something to do with a creator who hates his own creation.
You remembered it better than I did.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie like 2 or 3 times too.
Yeah. I mean, I it's stuck in my mind. So the line stuck in my mind. The creator who hates his own creation. But he kind of like, he gets the clue. He gets really popular. He gets really famous.
Right.
IOI's got their eyes on him, and at the same time, he kind of like gets.
He also gets stupid and reveals his real name online.
Oh yeah, that was so like stupid.
Yeah, well, why would you dox yourself? Just because you want, to get your...
Especially after, like, he was specifically warned by Artemis to not do that. Like,
right.
you gotta
and
have,
H was like, you shouldn't trust her. She's a 500-pound man. See, there's a thing to say about people on the internet because, everyone's trying to get money. So you're going to easily get catfished. I have a lot of friends that, like, they dated somebody online and then they found out later that they're a man or that they weren't exactly as conventionally attractive as they initially led on. Whether or not they were gypped out of money or they were...
they were the Tinder swindler.
Tinder swindler. Yep, that's a good term for it.
Tinder swindler. Yeah, it's based on a real con man who conned many women on Tinder. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about being online, right? Is like, it's not real. Still, it's not like, how much can you trust something like that blindly without actually, spending real time and developing some level of trust? So yeah, he gets good. He kind of develops a crush on Artemis, and she's like enigmatic, but she's also like trying to like win this quest. And he's kind of a bit of an innocent dummy. Like, he means well, but he's not the most smartest protagonist, is he?
No, definitely not. But that's kind of for the plot.
It is for the plot. And I think this is where
it's probably better that he isn't a Mary Sue. He's not that type of character that's amazing at everything and anything and has no flaws.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's
more believable. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, if he was just a genius who...
Right. Tom Cruise action man.
Yeah. I mean, even though you can do a lot of cool shit in those races.
You definitely can. But that's a different kind of movie.
Yeah. And yeah, I think there's some things about the script where I feel like they may have, like, again, I've not read the book, I don't think I ever will, but I feel like they may have simplified certain things or like, and I feel like there's a lot more detail
Mhm.
or there's a lot more of the plot that perhaps would have worked better if they had more movies. Is that a crazy take to say? Like,
Maybe, I
do you
don't
think?
know. I don't think it would get better with more movies. I just think that there's, like, certain things that I would change.
What I'm trying to say is like they basically packed everything they can in this one movie,
Right? Because he knew he
right?
was only
Where they
gonna
had
get
to
one shot.
probably. I mean, we'll talk
Right.
about what the future is of this movie and the whole thing, but like
Mhm.
it feels like they had a lot from that book, and they almost had to strip down and like simplify the plot in order to have like all the references and all the other cool stuff in it so that it sort of fits in and moves through because pacing wise I wouldn't say the movie's like it is a 2 hour movie, don't get me wrong,
Right.
it is a 2 hour movie, but for the most part, like when it comes to the set pieces, the spectacle and the pacing's pretty good. It doesn't feel like it drags. The only time where I felt like it really dragged is when it went into the real world. I don't know if you felt that way.
A little bit. Like, it because of how it's sectioned off, I did realize that it was a 2-hour movie, but that was only, like, halfway through it, and it's not, like, horribly paced, but it's not perfectly paced, if you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like,
yeah,
it has, like, some, like, moments that drag a little bit. Like, for instance, when we were talking about going from the real life to the virtual life, like, a lot of the real life stuff drags maybe a little bit just because it's not a billion things happening on screen,
yeah.
and, it is what it is.
So it's not
I
that
don't
interesting to look at, right? Nobody. I
exactly.
mean,
Well,
ironically, you're looking at a CGI poverty slum,
exactly,
and
and
it's just
that there's
not that.
not a lot to, like, work in that environment. The only, like, interesting stuff maybe is the corpo stuff, but that's just because they have unlimited money. But, like, you have a billion different references that you're looking for in the movie. You got Mass Effect characters, you got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of random, horror movies and characters. In fact,
Am
one
I
that
am I
upsets
wrong
me.
or am
Yeah.
I wrong in saying this? So does H's avatar is that Mass Effect?
No, I don't think so. I think that's an
Oh,
original
okay, okay.
character.
But there's
No,
some Mass Effect
there is.
references in
There's guns,
there.
and also I think in one of the frames that there's the original main character, the male and the female version show up for, like, a second. There's also,
Right,
like,
right.
Master Chief, Jason Voorhees, fucking Chucky, which pissed me off. I don't like that
Okay.
doll.
I know you mentioned that we could spend and it would probably
Exactly.
take like half of the pod to reference, but I'll just quickly spitfire what I can
Okay.
see from this list. So DC Comics, a lot of references from DC Comics, a lot of horror icons like Freddy Krueger, Chucky, like you mentioned, you know, video games like Master Chief and Spartans, Street Fighter, Sonic the Hedgehog, Tomb Raider, Overwatch, some iconic vehicles like the DeLorean from Back to the Future. We talked about Kaneda's bike from Akira. There's some other stuff. There's even the swordfish too from Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if you caught
Oh,
that.
I
And then
saw
there's
some other, like,
some
spaceships.
yeah, there's a lot of space. There's a spaceship from the USS Sulaco from Aliens. There's also like other pop culture items and weapons like the Holy Hand Grenade, which is a
Mhm,
powerful relic from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
mhm.
There's the Zemeckis Cube, which is a Rubik's Cube that reverses time for 60 seconds and is named after Robert Zemeckis, who's like another very iconic Hollywood director. Then there's some weapons and gadgets. So there's you like go on and on. Like there's so many
Mhm.
things. Like it's kind of mind boggling that for once I felt like even though at some point I was losing track of like the stuff they were showing, but I felt like for the most part it wasn't cheesy fan service. I feel like they actually did care about you know doing it because it mattered to the story to
It's a
some
love
extent.
letter to nerd culture.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's additive, it's not subtractive. I like it.
Yeah, that I think that actually is the right way to say it, as it doesn't, it doesn't subtract. And I really like how it plays into the second act with the Shining sequence, because I thought
Mhm.
that was one of the best
Yeah, the Overlook Hotel looks
sequences.
great.
Oh, it was incredible when they so they figure out, like, he has a date. One of
He
his
was a
regrets
girl
was,
that was an unrequited love that he just didn't commit to.
yeah, who ended up becoming the wife of his best friend, Ogden Morrow,
Yep.
played by Simon Pegg. But she died like a few years ago or something. But anyway, she's mentioned once as like a date he had who he never was able to take that leap, and it never went more than that for
Right.
Halliday. But I believe the date was at a movie, and they figure out that, oh, the movie was The Shining, and that's the creator who hates his own creation because
Yep. Stanley
Stephen
Kubrick.
King,
Or was Stephen King?
yeah, Stephen King, the guy who wrote the novel, who's got like 100 million
He
Hollywood
hated The
movies.
Shining. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ironically, he did. He did. And it's infamous
okay.
because, like, if you look at all the other adaptations by Stephen King that have made it into Hollywood, I think the one that
Which
everyone
makes
will
it
always
even
talk about.
more surprising because out of all his things, it's like the one thing I know for sure that there's a movie adaptation that's like a
Yeah.
sequel.
Yeah, yeah. And it got a sequel too, which I didn't see. I think
It's
it's called
good.
Doctor Sleep.
It's Doctor Sleep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But, like, The Shining is, I mean, you don't even have to be a horror fan here, but it's
Yeah.
like
The
one of
set
my favorite
design's
horror movies.
great. It's
Yeah.
it's got a nice grain film effect in the scene. I like
It's
that.
iconic. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson playing the main character. It's set in, like,
I don't
the
think they really
twins.
show him, but that's fine. They got the old lady, the old creepy
Yeah.
lady.
No, I mean, that's what I liked about it, is like it wasn't blatant enough where even though they could
Right.
have
Come play with us, Danny.
even though they could have shown all these main characters, they kind of like they don't they don't overdo that bit as well. Like, I know there's like one scene where they showed Batman, like, cliff hanging or something.
Yeah.
They didn't do it. They didn't do the in your face, like, oh yeah, I'm Batman, like, I'm here. Like, they kept it discreet to some extent, which is good because, even though you have like access to all these cool things that you can show, you don't always have to ham it in your face. So I like the fact that they were selective in what they were showing, and they had some kind of restraints, because, like, when they walk into the Overlook Hotel, it actually feels like they walked in to 19s, whenever they shot it in the 70s, in that hotel, the Overlook Hotel. Like,
Mm.
it's like film grain, and you're like, fuck, like, this is like they actually walked into the movie, The Shining. And then I really like how that plays into that sequence where they're like, you know, they gotta like go to the place where there's like that chasm where people are all the ghosts are dancing.
And
What do you
play
think of that?
Frogger. Yeah, I like that a lot. And it
Yeah.
wasn't the main guy that did the final getting of the key. It was
No.
actually Artemis, which was interesting.
Even though he found the clue though. 'Cause
Exactly.
he
Well, you would think like in a movie like this, it's Percival like the whole time, but no, they used Artemis and had her get her thing. Like she has, even though like she's not the main character, even she has like a through line through the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. She's cool in her own
Although
regard.
the only thing that I didn't like about her, Samantha, is that so I supposedly in the novel that we didn't read, it says like she's like disfigured, but in the film they just gave her like a birthmark, and you're like,
Yeah,
she's
I did
she's
read
hot,
about that.
she's still hot. Just like why? You could have done so much more with. So this is a nitpick on the writing, but you could have
Yes.
made her unconventionally attractive. You could have
Yes.
made like the viewer like see her inner beauty instead of her outer beauty. Just having like somebody that's
You know what?
conventionally attractive.
I like to call this the Hollywoodization of
Mm,
Artemis. That's what it
right,
is, because instead of doing something real
right,
and something that, because, like, end of the day, the main characters don't always have to be hot,
right,
but movies got to be movie, and Hollywood's always gonna have, put the most attractive pair out there.
right.
But you're right. If the character was intended to be disfigured, and they could have done something that actually, would have been real. Like it would have made it would have left an impact, and it would have actually made the whole
Yeah,
going into the virtual world and having a different identity have more kind of impact
and
than
the whole like she's like afraid of like the way she looks and how much she got bullied growing
this.
up. Like
Yeah.
I just like so like unbelievable because
No.
she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
making it sound like she looks like Quasimodo from Notre Dame.
Well, actually, it's just like it just looks like a bit of like red, like
You could have fixed that with foundation. Don't tell me you don't know
yeah.
about makeup.
You know what? Now that I think about it, it looks so bad. It
Yeah.
looks so bad. I mean, and even for the character to be like, oh yeah, my biggest like insecurity is
I have a
this
longer
birthmark.
fingernail than the other one. Just like fuck off.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And you know what? I agree with the criticism here. I think that it doesn't come off really well. It doesn't make her. It's kind of disappointing because I think her character's cool,
Yeah.
and I
No,
think it
I
would have been
think she
cooler
is
if she
too.
was just actually disfigured than just
Right.
having a birthmark that she's trying to cover up with her hair. And it's not that deep. I mean, it doesn't. She. It's like it's like she's Darth Vader or something. Got her face
Right.
burnt off.
Exactly.
When in reality, it's just like a birthmark. It's
Mhm.
not that. It's actually. It might actually make her more beautiful, ironically.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, and I think like, yeah, I mean, it's cool that she does pull her own weight, and she's, even though Vade's meant to be the main character, it's cool that Artemis or Samantha also gets to have a bit of a say in this story. Although I do feel like, for the most part, the supporting cast is kind of not that, you know, they're not that big of a deal. They're not really developed enough to steal the show. I mean, did they steal the show for you, or were you like,
Nah.
it's all right?
All
They're
right.
kind of forgettable
Yep.
supporting cast. Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought it was okay, and you know, there's like a lot of fan service for those characters too,
Hmm.
which I guess some people might like or not like. That's subjective, I guess. But yeah, what do you think of the third act?
Great. Godzilla versus Gundam is really cool. Mecha Godzilla.
But during the third act, I think like, what do you call it? The bad guy, what's his name? Sorrento tries to like bribe Artemis. I mean,
Mhm.
sorry, bribe Wade
Percival. Yep.
Parzival, and he sees through his old shtick, and then
Mhm.
there's a lot of like kidnapping and trying to kill him in the real world and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think they made it confusing for the spectacle, I guess.
yeah,
Actually, he's in the virtual world. It's just like fuck off.
yeah. I thought that. So this is the bit where I wasn't that high on the movie. The stuff where they were like trying to show the rat race between the corpo and the main characters, and yeah, I felt like a race against time. But the third act, I mean, yeah, I mean, what did you
And
think? I
and
mean,
and the Chucky jump scare, fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck you, Steven Spielberg, for putting that in the movie. I hate Child's Play. It's
oh
like
yeah,
my childhood, it fucked me up. Like there was
yeah.
like 10, 15 years where I couldn't look at that doll in the eyes. It was bad. In fact, I'm
Dolls
docking
is
a
just
point
creepy. Dolls have
for
always
for
been cute.
for Chucky. You're losing a point.
Yeah, I mean, dolls have always been creepy. We already knew that.
Yeah, I know
But
you hate
like,
snakes. I hate dolls. We have our things.
but yeah, I mean, in the third act, it's like set in the planet Doom, and they're having like this crazy war, and they're trying to get the lost key, and there's like this is where the movie just goes all out with
Yeah.
everything, all the references,
Mhm.
Ultraman and the Iron Giant, and then it turns out like the final clue is what Barzil having to play a video game, an arcade game.
Yep, adventure. He's got to get the Easter egg because they're trying to beat like a list of all the Atari games ever made, and they're trying to find out how to complete it. And what they don't know is that you have to get an Easter egg in a video game called Adventure.
Yeah, which was, I think it was like the first ever Easter egg,
In a
like
video
first
game.
game
Yep.
to ever have an Easter egg in a game,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
which is like a clue or a reference sneaked in, which is cool. I love that. I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Easter eggs for movies. I like Easter eggs. I think they're cool. We always look at Easter eggs for movies that like meant to tease something or reference something. So I think that's a nice addition. It pays homage to the whole gaming history, if you'd like to call it. But like the final act is meant to be like this big, massive like action sequence. Kind of felt like a CGI fest, but
Yep.
you know, end of the day, you think it sticks the landing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like Transformers where you're just like, I don't know who that is. Who's who. It's fine. It looks good.
Yeah.
It's got a billion references and it's satisfying.
I guess so. I mean, the movie literally ends with, you know, Wade winning the quest with all three clues, and he gets the Easter
And
egg from Halliday.
not assigning he passed his final test.
Yeah. And also the curator who gives him that coin saves his life, right? Because like
and then you
Sorrento
find out
tries
that
to
was
kill.
his partner.
Yeah. The curator at the archives showing all the memories to Parzival was actually Ogden Morrow the whole time, who's James Halliday's partner and best friend. And he gives him that extra, the quarter, which, ends up being like that extra life token. I thought that was a nice little tie in to the movie because Sorrento tries to kill everyone, blow off everyone's currency, zero them out. But yeah, that saves him, and yeah, he gets access to the Oasis, and I think he decides to have
Server maintenance day. He turns it off for 2 days a week so people can live in the real world.
Yeah, which I mean,
Yeah. Him and his clan. He decides with his clan that they run the Oasis. The 5 of them, the fivers, high fivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very, I would say, predictable ending.
Sure.
Not that crazy, but the adventure's nice. I guess we'll go into the final thoughts. You want to give it a review? I mean,
Sure.
Final.
Ready Player One is a fun ride. It gets a lot right. It gets a lot of very few things I can complain about. Child's Play, fuck you. And then a couple little nitpicks. But great use of special effects. I don't think that these are going to age terribly anytime soon. Great pacing for the most part, even though, it's a 2-hour film. As the film is a love letter to everything I love about video games, I'm proud to give this film an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I like this movie. I remember when it came out. Big fan of all the references. Like you said, it's a love letter, not just to video games, but also pop culture. One thing I will say is like, unlike many other filmmakers, Steven Spielberg wrote it. And, it's cool that the writer of the novel got to like write the screenplay for this film, because at least that adds like, okay, end of the day, at least the author was involved. And then you have someone like Steven Spielberg, who cares about movies and vision and obviously everything that he's done with his career, do something like this, which is, you kind of feel like it's kind of against his type to do and touch something like this, which is like more futuristic and geeky. I will say the story is kind of like serviceable. It's not the most crazy, mind bending, thrilling story. It's very like predictable once it goes through the acts, but I had a fun time with it. Like I said, I mean, I think adventure movies kind of died out, and it reminds me of adventure movies that I enjoy. And sometimes you just want to watch movies that are a ride. And I think it's amazing that they had all the rights and references. It's impossible to name them all, but you can always look it up yourself and see, which is cool, and all the Easter eggs. So yeah, I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10. I think the character development and the plot is not the strong suit, but the references and the adventure is great. So yeah, I think it's still under the radar a bit, not Spielberg's most talked about movie, That's why I wanted to review it. I like the technology as well. And also, it's meant to receive a sequel that's still in development, so we'll never know if it'll ever get made.
All right. On that note, you have anything else to say?
No, that concludes our review.
All right. I'm going to go put on my VR headset and run headfirst into a wall. See you, Space Cowboy.